morning. We are walking through Advent as the fellowship, and we just finished our first week, which was all about hope. And that hope is really motivated by the second week's emphasis, which is love, or the love of God, true love. You know, prior to Jesus, one of the most compelling scriptural stories I've ever heard of love was the story of Hosea and Gomer. Hosea was a prophet, righteous and holy, but called to marry Gomer, who was just as pure as he was on their wedding day. But he was called to love her, knowing in advance that she would turn soon after their wedding day to a life of infidelity, unfaithfulness, and she would turn to a life of prostitution. Yet God called Hosea to marry her and love her just the same. There was a lot of dysfunction, separation, but ultimately there would be a renewal. There would be a righting of the wrongs. There would be a restoration, a reconciliation of the relationship, as God called Hosea in Hosea 3 to go get his bride Gomer. And he buys her back for himself, and they love each other for the rest of their days. It's really a story that represents the love that God has for the world, even though the world and its people were unfaithful to him. You know, I don't know this morning who has hurt you, and I'm not sure who has left you feeling wronged. But I know we're in a broken world, and I know we've all experienced that. Maybe you've even hurt some people yourself. This morning, I want you to think on that story of how God was faithful even when we were not. And I want you to think about how faithful God was to you even when you weren't faithful to him. I'm sure that you've probably made mistakes in your life that have hurt God, and God loved you just the same. I wonder if that could motivate you this morning to maybe forgive those who have hurt you and love them like God loved you, and maybe even motivate you to go to those who you've hurt and seek forgiveness. Try to love them in a way that is faithful to the character of God and less faithful to the person you were the moment you hurt them. You may have been right. Maybe your wronging of them was just trying to be right. But let me ask you this. Is it more important to be right or to have that relationship? And maybe God desires for you to try to right that relationship more than fight for your own dignity or need to be right. Maybe his reputation is more important than yours is. So this morning, I want to encourage you as we enter the second week of Advent. We're talking about love. And God has called us as church to love like him. This morning, I hope you'll pray, church, on how you can do that in the relationships that are evident in your life right now. Maybe even right some wrongs. As we prepare to gather this Sunday to celebrate the true love of God, the love that was evidenced when he sent his son for us. I pray that your heart would begin to prepare itself as we'll gather 10 o'clock in Mt Juliet and 10:45 in Donaldson on our Two Rivers campus. May the thought of love prepare your heart and your mind to truly worship the one who was faithful to us when we were unfaithful to him. And may your worship give him true honor and due glory. So let's prepare our hearts. Let's bask in the love that we have in him, and let's love like him. I'll see you Sunday.